Greetings, everyone. It's another video I wasn't expecting to make, but I'm going to go ahead and get it out there. It's probably a little earlier than I would have normally, but I just noticed today when I went to the ExpressVPN site that there was actually a Linux GUI available. It would be a ExpressVPN client for Linux that had a GUI, or graphical user interface. So there were reasons I went with ExpressVPN when I did. I mean, there are other cheaper VPNs out there, and I will go into those reasons maybe in a little bit here, but it's always been sort of a sticking point with me that they never had a graphical user interface for Linux. They had one for Windows, for Mac, for Android, iOS, just not Linux. They did have a terminal application or a terminal client, though. And it worked good, and I was able to use it and write a script to make it more easy to utilize. There were browser plugins that would give you a GUI under Linux. Sorry, let's just keep away from the browser plugin things. If you're going to do it, do an application, not a browser plugin. But like I say, recently I noticed there was a graphical user interface or GUI for Linux available on their website, so I downloaded it. Or I'm going to download it, going to give it a test, and let's see how it works. So in a previous video, I talked about using the ExpressVPN terminal client and a script I wrote. In fact, I went through my first generation of the script. It's been through several generations over the years, and it's a lot more functional now, but that's where it all started. I guess I'll stick a card somewhere and post the link. And if you want, you can go look it up. Please note, though, that the testing I did was several years ago, and things may or may not have changed. One of the reasons I went with ExpressVPN was performance. Now, I see a lot of sites out there doing reviews and tests and saying, yeah, it's pretty heads-on in the US. And yeah, it is pretty heads-on. It was pretty heads-on when I did the test in the US. There was not a lot of difference. However, since I spent a lot of time in the Philippines, when I tested it in the Philippines, ExpressVPN basically left everybody else in the dust. And I think this was probably due to the fact that ExpressVPN actually had a server in the Philippines. I think Surfshark now has ones in the Philippines. I'm pretty sure Nord doesn't. I was ending up going to places like Taipei or Singapore with some of the other VPN clients, and it just didn't, I mean, there was significant difference in the speed. Anyway, as I said, I went with ExpressVPN more for the speed than the convenience of the interface, and I wrote a script to help make using the terminal client a lot easier. But as I said, now I notice there is a beta version of a GUI for Linux on the ExpressVPN website. So I downloaded it, and now I'm going to give it a test and see how it works. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to DuckDuckGo, and we'll go to the ExpressVPN website and see what's there. And of course, it's the first entry that comes up. And we got to look at all their advertising. This is nothing new with ExpressVPN or any other VPNs. They like to advertise. Something I'm not a fan of. I like a straightforward website. Anyways, they talk about some of the advantages. They don't talk about the disadvantages, but again, this is their website. They have added a lot of features since the last time I really took a good look at them. We may touch on some of those in a little bit. Yeah, if we go to the Get ExpressVPN, I guess I should have logged in first to avoid this page where it just tells you what the various plans are and how much they cost. Yeah, I could have avoided this page by logging in. Anyways, if we go down to the bottom, we can find a link directly to where the Linux software is at. And we jump over there and we get to the download a VPN for Linux, compatible with Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, Raspberry, etc. Let's go ahead and jump over here. And we can see it over here on the right. There's the download, and there's also a signature file. When you get an account with ExpressVPN, you get their public key, and you can use a signature file to verify your download. I suggest doing that for anything you download, but down here at the bottom, we've also got some setup instructions for the GUI and for the client as well. So if we look through the instructions, we can see the compatibility list, how to set it up compatible with Ubuntu 24.04, Debian 10, Arch, rolling release, Fedora 30 plus, Linux Mint 20 plus, etc. They also give you a caveat here about non-supported Linux distributions. However, a lot of Linux distributions are based on Debian and Ubuntu and Fedora, so your usage may vary. I'm using Fedora right now, so that's going to be the distro of choice for this video, but like I say, your mileage may vary depending on what distribution you're using. You scroll down, and basically it's like download the installer, enter verification code. That's if you don't already have an account. I do, so I don't need the verification code. So basically open the terminal, run the script as sh, give your password and your identification, and you should be running ExpressVPN Linux GUI beta version. We hope. So I've downloaded the file, and I want to go take a look at this file because it is supposedly a script file. So we'll try opening it, and it's a little large for my for Kate, the built-in text viewer for KDE. Okay, let's take a look at what we got here. MD5 checksum, yeah. Print, yeah, okay. All seems pretty standard. Like I say, you really might want to take a look at this before you actually try and install it on your computer. I always like to look at these script files and see what they do. I did actually spend about an hour or two going over the script file to see what it did. There's an interesting thing. You'll notice it freezes up here. Again, its size. I'm going to go ahead and look at it in the terminal instead, because it can handle the larger size. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I know what the problem was. It was too long. So let's power up the terminal, and we'll use a program called Less to look at it. So we'll cd into the downloads directory, and we'll use Less to examine it. There's various text readers, Less, More. Less is the more capable one. So there's our file. There's our text, and now we can just scroll through it and look at it. And what I'm interested in is something I found towards the bottom of the file here. See, all the rest of the stuff's pretty standard. It does some checking, does some verification, asks for your pseudo password. But once you get down to the bottom of the file, you're going to run into something that looks like a little like this. There we are. This is either binary or an archive. I'm not sure which. Reading the code, I think it's an archive, but it's going to decompress this or unarchive this or whatever. This is actually, I think, the program. Like I say, it goes through and makes a lot of checks, does a lot of security stuff, and then gets your password for a sudo, and then installs it. So that's what we're going to do next. Yeah, I always recommend checking stuff out before you actually do the install. So we go ahead and download the files we need, and they're in my downloads folder. So I'll open a terminal. Let's increase the font size a little here. We'll go to the downloads folder, and we'll see what's there. So I downloaded the key also. Like I say, if you subscribe to ExpressVPN, you'll get their public key, and you can use this to verify the file. So we're going to go ahead and, I was wondering if this file needed to be executable, but I'm going to go ahead and run the sh as a command as they give and see if it'll run. I'm guessing it's going to ask for my sudo password here. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to do. At least from my examination of the file, that's what it looks like it does. So we'll see. So did MD5 checksum, uncompressing, installing, detected previous well, yeah, because I installed it before, but my package manager DNF installed the IP tables as a dependency, asked for my password, sudo password, and it's installed. And I'm going to go ahead and shut it down before doing anything with it because I want to move the launch shortcut before doing anything with it. So we'll do that next. All right, let's go ahead. Now I move the shortcut, moving it to my favorites, and put it in alphabetical order like we do all my favorites. Then we'll go ahead and launch it from there. And we've got a nice, simple interface, very visual, whether you're connected or not. Single big red friendly button. Well, not red, but a single big friendly button there. Come over here, we can search for all the various servers that are available. See, I've used one in the Philippines. We also list the current cert location. A smart location is basically what ExpressVPN thinks will be the best for the best speed for you. And then if you've actually done another location, it'll be under recent locations. Now we can, as I said, we can yeah. So connecting, disconnecting, pretty easy. Choosing a location, very simple with this interface. You do see the little beta thing up there, the little red writing in the upper left corner, but yeah, is what it is. Okay, let's look at the options here. This is various options we can do. So first, some general options. Show desktop notifications. Yes. We've got themes, dark and light. This is the light theme versus the dark theme. I kind of like the dark theme for this a little better. What else have we got here? Launch on system startup. Yeah, and then connect on launch. So you click these two, you'll start your system, it'll automatically connect. Or just the one and it'll launch at startup. Or automatically connect. You got some choices here, just some check boxes. Languages, okay. Dashboard appearance, window, let's see. Oh, attached to tray. Oh, this is interesting. My tray is actually up in the top kick bar, but it's attaching it to the bottom one. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I think I prefer the windowed mode anyways. Okay. What else we got here? Automatic. These are your protocols, so you can actually select any of the available protocols, or it'll select for you automatically. I think I'll leave it automatic. Network. Enable when connected. Enable at all times. This stuff all has to deal with when ExpressVPN is running. Do we force everything to go through the VPN, or do we let some stuff that wants to sneak around it? That's basically what this stuff's all about. I basically, when I'm using the VPN, I want everything to go through the VPN. Then we jump over here, advanced protection, trackers, malware sites, ads. You can also do some auto configure with some of this stuff. Stuff to play with later. I didn't really play with this on my script I wrote. Split tunneling, I'll have to play with this later, but this is where you actually let specific applications go outside of the VPN. You can set that up here. Again, something to play with later. A lot more features than I remember. By account stuff. Okay. Yeah, basic account stuff. So, and we got the help. Okay, and under help, we can set up a debug log. Yeah, we can set up some various functions here. Disable. Yeah, okay. So that's the that's basically what's in the GUI. It seems to be fairly complete for most average users. So Yeah. I mean, it is beta, but it does seem to work. It hasn't jammed up my system yet. One thing I will note when you're using this app on Wi-Fi, and I noticed this when I was using the terminal client one, is at some point you're likely to get a limited connectivity on your Wi-Fi because everything's being forced to run through the VPN, and that'll cause that. But if you do a speed test or whatever, you'll find it's still the same. So yeah, that does happen, but it actually happened I saw it on Windows when I was using the Windows client, and I've seen it with the terminal client. So yeah, expect something like that if you're using it for a longer period of time, getting a limited connectivity error because your computer is being forced to do something it doesn't want to do. All right, that looks like about it for now. Okay, conclusions, epilogue, whatever you want to call it. So the graphics client for ExpressVPN is installed. It's running. It hasn't crashed my system, so I got to give it a thumbs up there. Yeah. The good news: graphical client works. It covers the basic functionality that you need. It basically does the same thing my script and terminal client were doing. There is additional functionality also that I'm going to have to explore a little bit that I haven't been using. I think some of this is new, some of this was existing. I just hadn't been using it. I like the fact that starting the application, it gives you a nice, friendly, big connect button, and it's easy. You just click the button and you're connected. It does the smart interface thing where it tries to determine the best functionality, but it also lets you choose the site you want to connect to. So that's a good thing. The options menu actually offers a lot of options I'm not really familiar with. I have a rough idea of what they do. I'm going to have to play with them some more, but again, some of them I never played with when I was using the terminal client. I know some of them were there, and I know some of them are new. But it's something to look into later. It doesn't really affect the overall operation as far as what I'm doing. Now for the bad stuff. Yeah, there is bad stuff. There always is. So let's see. This is still a beta, so they haven't released an alpha version, so that means it's likely to change. I mean, yeah, I call that a bad thing because it's not the actual release yet, but it's probably not that bad. ExpressVPN offers a program or a application called Keys. For some reason, it works through the Android app and it works through the iOS app, if I believe what they say on their website, but it doesn't work through the Windows or Linux app. Keys is a password vault. Yeah, make it work through the app. Simple as that. You offer the service that comes with it. You make it work through the app. You don't, again, this whole web browser extension thing. And this one actually requires Chrome for the extension. So, yeah, put it in the app. Pretty simple. I also, again, want to note that ExpressVPN has expanded its services from what they offered when I did my last review, when I was working with the terminal client. However, some of these are actually going to cost you money. So, and it takes a little bit of digging on their website to find out what some of this stuff costs. For example, you can purchase a static IP address for yourself. You can, they've got some ID protection stuff. Again, you can subscribe. Like I said, there's a few things they have, but my big complaint here is fix your website. Have this is the cost page where you don't have all your advertisements, where people who know what they want to do can go and look at what the actual cost is. Sometimes you got to dig down several levels to get to stuff like that. And I think that should be on a separate page you can just click to from the front page. Same with the downloads. You should have a direct click there, easily, not going through, you need to log in, you need to set it up, all that kind of stuff. But yay, those are just minor things. So overall, I give the GUI a thumbs up. I'm going to be 2 thumbs up, actually. I'm going to be trying it for the next several months to see how it works out. I'm going to try some of that additional functionality, and we'll see what happens. But until then, hey, I appreciate the effort and the GUI, or graphical user interface, now being available on Linux. So that is a very good thing.